Hey, welcome and thanks for being here. If you've been running ads for a long time and you've been frustrated, maybe you've been spending a fair bit of your revenue on these ads and not seeing many results, or maybe you're stuck at that 10 to 20K a month mark. You're ready to scale. You've got everything done in the background, but you just whatever for whatever reason you just can't get those leads in. You can't get that new work in. So what we're going to go over in this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact three-phase paid ad strategy that we use at Warner to get clients to grow from, say, 10 to 20, 30, 40, and all the way up to 100K a month. This isn't fluff. This isn't going to be some like get rich quick scheme or anything like this. This does take work, but it is a process that we use inside our business that I'd like to share with you guys. So I'll break it down step by step so you can literally copy it and paste it into your own business. So let's dive in. All right. So let's be real for a second, right? Most people running paid ads, they treat them like scratchy tickets or, slot machines or the lottery tickets, right? They throw money at it, whether it be Facebook, TikTok, Google ads, whatever it'll be, and hope magic will happen and they'll hit the jackpot, right? And then when it doesn't work, we say the algorithm's broken, ads don't work for my business, whatever it may be. But then we see businesses month after month after month, we see their ads running and we think, man, my competitors are running ads all the time. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't waste their money if it wasn't working for them, right? And that's unfortunately the reality. 9 times out of 10, it's not the algorithm, it's not the market, it's our strategy, it's our ads, it's our landing page, whatever it may be, right? So in the next few minutes, I'm going to go over exactly how we scale businesses from 10 to say 100,000 plus per month, step by step, so that you can copy and paste it into your own business so we can stop failing and we can succeed together. Right here is the framework that we use. This is the three-phase paid ad strategy, right? It doesn't matter if you're an e-commerce brand, whether you're a coaching company, you're a local tradie, whatever it'll be. This process works because it's built on principles. It's not random platform hacks or algorithm hacks, right? We don't work off them. We don't even know if they exist, right? Because we just build based on this three-phase paid ad strategy, right? The best part is you can copy and paste this into your business. And I guarantee you, if you follow it, it will work for you. Before we go through how this works and why it works, let's walk through some of the common reasons why ads fail, right? Number one is weak offers, right? You can have the best targeting in the world, but if your offer sucks, it's game over, right? You can have the best landing page, you can have the best copy, you can have the best creative, whatever it may be. But if you're selling, lack for a better word, crap, no one wants it, right? No one wants to buy that. So, number two is no testing system, right? So, most business owners that I've seen who give this a crack themselves for the first time, and I'm guilty of it myself too, is we throw one or two ads live, come back a couple of weeks later and go, wow, that's a lot of money gone. Why didn't this work, right? The reality is we're not going to get it right the first time. You have to test, and you have to systematically test so that you don't burn cash as well, right? So testing is really, really important. Number three is scaling too early. So we might get a quick win. We might get a couple of leads that come in that convert, and we think, yeah, I've figured it out. I know what I'm doing now. And we bump up that ad. We increase it by 100, 200, 300%, whatever it may be, and it crashes. Doesn't work, right? And we didn't have enough data. Maybe it wasn't going to work to begin with, and we just got lucky, right? So I'm sure we've all been there. And now it's time to fix it, make sure that we don't go back there again. Phase one is all about validation. And this is the mindset shift that I had to learn very hard, but that everyone needs to hear. And that's that this phase is unfortunately not about making profit. It's not where we're going to get rich, unfortunately, right? It's not about hitting seven figures straight away or whatever our goal is, right? This is about proving that the system works, getting the data, finding out where the holes are in our system, and then moving on to phase two, which is to fix that, to fill the leaks, right? To fix the cracks, right? So it's all about finding out if we spend $1 on ads, can we get $1.50 back or whatever it may be, right? First thing that we want to make sure is that we're testing offers, not ads, right? You can have the best ad in the world, the best creative. We went over this before. Doesn't matter if the offer is no good. no one wants to buy it, right? No one's interested. It's going to fail, right? But you can have a pretty crappy ad, and I'm sure you've seen them before, month after month. Your competitors running these ads that look really ordinary. They don't look impressive at all. They got terrible copy, but they're obviously successful because they're still running. And quite often, if we look really closely, they've got a really compelling offer there that people click in on. They provide their details for, and they end up becoming a customer, right? So this is how we approach testing, right? So we test three different offers. This is just a minimum example, but three different offers and five different hooks. So your offers are the actual offer. What are you offering somebody to get them to the next stage? Whether that is to purchase a product on your website, or whether that is for them to give you their details to as an inquiry or to get a quote for something, right? And then the hook is the actual ad itself. So the hook is your copy, what are you saying in the ad, what's the visuals of it, and things like that. So you want to test lots of hooks, and you want to test three really solid thought through offers, right? The goal isn't to find the unicorn overnight, it's to identify our first winner. And these are the things that we need to watch. So I'd recommend that when you do this, most platforms will, if you set them up properly, will already collect all of these key metrics for you. But if you're running ads on multiple different platforms, set yourself up a spreadsheet on Excel, Google Sheets, whatever you use, and make sure that you're tracking these things. Impressions are kind of like vanity metrics; they're not super important, but it does tell you whether you've collected enough data to know where the next to before you can look at things like click through rate and cost per click. So, for example, if you only have 100 impressions, I wouldn't even bother looking at any of your other metrics because it's just not enough impressions. You need at least 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 impressions before you can look at things like your click through rate, your cost per click, and your conversion rate and your cost per lead. Right. So let's say you've got 1,500 impressions across all of your ads, right? And then we'll look at the first one, it's got a click through rate of 11%. What that tells us is we've got a really solid ad and people are clicking on it. And then we've got the cost per click is $8, which is it does matter, but you might want to improve that, but you sort of want to pay attention to it. But your next thing that you really want to look at is your conversion rate, right? Conversion rate here is 4%. Now, depending on your industry, 4% might actually be okay. We typically aim for in our own business a conversion rate of between 20 and 30%. Some landing pages we get better than that if it's a really specific group that we're targeting, and sometimes they're really low and they are in the single digit percentages, right? And you got to work out what works for you, what is potentially scalable. But what this tells us here on this first line, if this was our ads, is the conversion rate is too low. So the ad is working, it's bringing in traffic, but if the conversion rate's too low, there's something wrong with our landing page. So we want to look at a couple of different things. Does the ad and the landing page speak to each other? So for Google Ads, for example, when we run and when we put the title, we want to make sure that the title of the ad matches or is as close to as possible what someone has searched. And then we want to also make sure that when they click on the ad, that we're validating to the person who clicked on the ad that they're in the right place. So if we mentioned an offer or whatever the title was in the ad, we want to repeat that again in the hero section of the landing page. That tells them you're in the right place, and you're in the right place, and the offer is still there, right? So you want to make sure that that connection's there. The other thing could be the landing page, how it looks. The hook could be wrong, the copy could be wrong. There could be an issue there, so you want to look at that. If we look at another one, like we'll look at this one, right? The bottom one. So we've got 1,500 impressions, so more than enough impressions to start judging the metrics. We've got a conversion rate of 10%. So the conversion rate's actually pretty good, but we've got a click through rate of 2%. That tells us there's an issue with the ad. And that could be the hook or it could be the offer. But the conversion rate, 10%, is not bad. So the issue is not with the landing page. We need to go back to the ad, right? And then you've got your cost per lead. and you'll have a conversion rate after your cost per lead as well. So how much does it cost to acquire a customer, and then what your return on ad spend is. So your cost per lead, you just want to make sure that your cost per lead is sustainable, that it's not above. If your cost per lead's above what your product, profit is, or the service profit is on average, then obviously that's not scalable, right? So you want to look at things like that. That's really important. Phase two is to optimize. So this is where we tighten the systems and we squeeze more juice from every click that we're getting. We'll go back to this one, for example, and this is where we want to plug the leaks. So we look for those leaks that we went over before. So that bottom one, for example, there's an issue with the ad. So we want to fix the ad. With this one up here, there's an issue with the landing page. So we want to fix that landing page. And we will do this for every single ad time and time and time again. And we don't necessarily delete ads unless we've just targeted the wrong audience or whatever it may be. We just continue to iterate them. And when we get a winning ad, that's when we look at scaling that ad. That doesn't mean that we drop all the others. You should you should always continue to create more ads and do more testing. And the main reason is because even the best ads in the world eventually start to fail, and that's because of ad fatigue, especially in a country like Australia. Right, the market isn't huge for most things, so eventually you're going to reach everyone, and they're going to see that ad so many times, and they're going to get sick of seeing that ad, and eventually the responses are going to get less and less and less. So you need to constantly be adding fresh content, fresh ads, so that you can try and keep this linear scale up and up and up. And then phase three is it's time to scale, right? So if we've done phase one properly and we've done phase two properly, this is where we can strategically but safely scale. And there's a couple of different ways to scale. So you've got vertical scaling, which is where you slowly increase budgets by 20 or 30% every 3 to 4 days. And the reason we do this is Meta is a great example, and so is Google Ads a great example. Is when you increase the budget too much, it unfortunately puts the algorithm back into the learning phase. And then what happens then is your ads will get throttled because the algorithm Google does this all the time, unfortunately, but basically it'll hesitate showing your ads to people because it doesn't want to wreck your budget. It doesn't want to destroy your budget, and it wants to try and maintain the same results, but sometimes it can't. So you need to increase the budget slowly, but diligently over and over time, and then that will result in that scaling going up. And then eventually, if you hit a plateau and you notice, hey, I've increased the budget by 20 or 30% this week, but I notice my results aren't getting any better, you scale it back a little bit, and then that's when you start working on that new creative. And that's your horizontal scaling. So your horizontal scaling is duplicating your winning ad sets and adding slight variations to them. And the idea behind those slight variations is if you especially if you're testing them and you test them on a smaller budget before you scale them as well, is you want to increase things like your click-through rate, you want to increase things like your conversion rate, and try and find new audiences or new areas, or tap into audiences that didn't respond to your initial ads, so that you can scale those ads even more. The next type of scaling is the multi-platform scaling. So we, unlike a lot of agencies, like if you come to us and you've got a huge budget, yes, we'll run TikTok, we'll run YouTube, we'll do Google, we'll do Facebook ads, we'll do the whole lot. But typically for a small business, we don't actually, while we'd love to just say, hey, this will do the whole lot and charge a fortune, we prefer to do it bit by bit, especially if they haven't ran ads before. I would rather get a winning strategy on Google Ads and then know from that strategy and then fully deplete the total available resources from the Google Ads, the maximum performance we can get from that one before we then move on to Facebook ads. And then that's really part of scaling. So you start with one platform, get really good at that platform, start getting great results from that platform, and then start looking at your other platforms. And then to recap, you're just constantly repeating the cycle. So you go from validate to optimize to scale and then repeat. And unfortunately, you're constantly doing this. But the hope is so that we don't drive each other nuts as business owners, The hope is that eventually you get to a stage where you can either build your own marketing team, your own ads team to do this for you, or you can outsource it to an agency like us to take care of it for you. But it's really important that you continue to use this three-phase process and basically hone in on it. Because if you don't do step one, you don't do step two, you really can't do step three confidently. You will waste money, you will waste budget, and you won't get the results that you want. So stick through this diligently, copy and paste this system into your own business. Hopefully it worked for you. Please subscribe because we do videos like this all the time, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.